Hi, you are engaging in the ELA Guidebooks unit Pushing Up the Sky. The purpose of this video is to help you understand what a universal theme is. This will help you better understand how to identify them in the folktales you will read throughout the unit. Be sure you have your handout available and something to write with for the video. Have you ever given someone advice about life? Something like, don't pass notes in Mr. Thompson's class, or use the drinking fountain at the end of the hall for the coldest water, or even, don't get pizza today at lunch. Maybe you've even told a story to prove your point, such as, one time I passed a note in Mr. Thompson's class and he took it and showed it to my mom. In fact, people have been using stories to give advice for hundreds and even thousands of years. In this unit, you'll be reading folktales from places like Africa, Japan, and Israel. Folktales are oral stories that people have told and retold from one generation to the next. Over time, these stories have been written down so that we can read them today. Every culture has its own set of folktale stories. Culture is the beliefs and traditions of a particular group of people, and they are reflected in the folktales that each culture has. If a culture values honesty, it will have folktales about being honest. If a culture values being clever, you are sure to find stories about characters that use their wits to overcome challenges. These made-up stories tell us about characters that were either rewarded or punished for their choices they made, and we call this the theme of the story. In folktales, the theme is the moral or lesson that the main character learns by the end. For example, you've probably heard the story about the tortoise and the hare. The hare challenges the tortoise to a race. The tortoise agrees, and when the race starts, the hare races ahead while the tortoise plods slowly along. After a while, the hare gets distracted and stops running. In some versions, he even takes a nap. By the time the hare realizes the tortoise has passed him, it's too late. The tortoise wins the race. What lesson do you think the tortoise learned? I think he learned that being determined and working hard paid off in the end. This is the theme or moral of this story. A fun way to think about the characters and events in a story is to summarize it by saying somebody wanted but so then. Somebody means the main characters in the story. Wanted means it is what the character wants. But is the problem, what is keeping the character from getting what they want. So is what the character does to try and solve the problem, and then is what happens in the end. Let's practice with this folktale, The Boy Who Cried Wolf. Once upon a time, there was a young boy who took care of his family's sheep. The boy was bored and wanted to have some fun, but there was nothing to do. He decided to play a trick by yelling out, "Help! A wolf is coming to eat the sheep!" People rushed to help him, and the boy laughed and laughed. Again and again, he played this trick, always laughing when people came rushing to help him. Okay, now that we've summarized the story so far, let's look at the very end to see if we can find the theme. One day, the boy saw a wolf coming out of the woods. He yelled and yelled, "Help! A wolf is coming to eat the sheep!" But no one came. Everyone believed the boy was playing another trick, and the wolf ate all of the sheep. Then the boy's father came to him and said, "No one trusts a liar, even when they tell the truth." Now you are ready to determine the theme of this story. Pause this video to record your answers on your handout at the first stop sign. Then hit play when you are ready to continue. Let's review. In the story of The Boy Who Cried Wolf, the boy learns the importance of telling the truth, of being honest and not lying. Because he kept telling lies that the wolf was coming, no one believed him when the wolf actually did appear. Now we know what a theme of the story is, but what does universal theme mean? Let's break down the word universal to help us understand what this means. The word universal comes from the Latin word universus. We can break this down into two parts: unus, which means one, and versus, which means turned. Together, these root words mean turned into one. When we say something that is universal, we mean that it is the same everywhere in the world. So, a universal theme is a moral or lesson that is true everywhere. To see an example of a universal theme, let's look at another story, the story of Yalanchi. This is a folktale from Turkey. As I tell the story, be thinking about what the theme or lesson is. Once there was a man named Yalanchi. He had a small store where he sold things. Yalanchi was an honest man, but then he began telling his customers small lies to sell more things. Soon, he was telling bigger and bigger lies. Yalanchi told so many lies that he lost his shop. No one would come to buy things from him because they did not believe what he said. One day, he came home from his shop to see his house was on fire. He ran through the town shouting, "My house is on fire! Someone help!" But no one believed him. They all said to each other, "That Yalanchi, he's up to another one of his tricks." So Yalanchi's house burned to the ground. Wow, it seems as though Yalanchi learned the same lesson as the boy who cried wolf. If you are not honest, people will not believe you even if you are telling the truth. In both of these stories, the theme is to tell the truth. Wait a minute though. These stories come from two very different cultures. The Boy Who Cried Wolf is a story from Greece, while Yalanchi is a story from Turkey. Why would people so far apart be telling stories with the same theme? No matter where you live in the world, it is important for people to be able to trust each other. Honesty is universally important. That means it is important to people everywhere. So it makes sense that people everywhere would have stories that teach children the importance of telling the truth. There are other universal themes we find in folktales all over the world: the importance of hard work, being brave, the value of family, and many, many more. Let's look at two different stories: The Lion and the Mouse from Greece, and the story of the squirrel and the creeping fish from Malaysia, to see if we can find another universal theme. The Lion and the Mouse. A lion was asleep in the forest when a mouse scurried by. The lion put his huge paw on the mouse to kill her, but just then the mouse squeaked, "Please let me go. If you do, I will be your friend and help you one day." The lion thought this was so funny that he decided to let the mouse go. Many days later, the lion was caught in a hunter's trap. Just then, the mouse saw him. She ran to the ropes that were holding him and used her teeth to gnaw through them until he was free. "You laughed when I said I would repay you," she squeaked. "Now you see that even a mouse can help a lion." At first, the lion thought the idea of a mouse helping him was funny, but it turns out that being friends with a mouse paid off in the end. The lion learned the value of having a friend, even when the friend is a little weak mouse. Follow along as I read the story of the squirrel and the creeping fish. From the beginning, Squirrel and Creeping Fish were friends. One day, the squirrel's wife became sick. The only way to save her was to give her a chicken egg. Creeping Fish promised his friend he would help even if it cost him his life. When the woman came to get the water, he hid in her bucket, and when she brought it home, he snuck out and stole a chicken egg. When the woman returned to the water, he swam away and gave the egg to the squirrel to save his wife. Later, Creeping Fish's wife became sick. The only way to save her was to give her a crocodile heart. Squirrel promised his friend he would help even if it cost him his life. He hid inside a coconut and dropped it into a crocodile's mouth. Squirrel took the crocodile's heart and brought it to the creeping fish to save his wife. Now you are ready to determine the theme of the story. Pause this video to record your answers on your handout at the second stop sign. Then hit play when you are ready to continue. Let's review. In this story, two friends, the squirrel and the creeping fish, help each other. The theme of the story is that friends can help each other out. While the characters and setting are different, the themes of these stories is the same. Friends can help each other out when they are in need. In The Mouse and the lion doesn't eat the mouse, and in return, the mouse later saves the lion from the trap. In The Squirrel and the Creeping Fish, the squirrel and the creeping fish help each other get medicine when their wives are sick. Both of these stories show us the importance of friendship that can be rewarded for helping others. This is true whether you are in ancient Greece, the forest of Malaysia, or in a classroom in Louisiana. It is a universal theme. People communicate values like honesty, hard work, and courage through their folktales. Wherever you go, people will trust you if you are honest. Hard work will help you achieve great things, and having the courage to try something new or face your fears will help you accomplish more than you ever thought possible. These universal themes come up again and again in folktales from across the world. You will use this new knowledge as you engage in the ELA Guidebooks unit, Pushing Up the Sky. Make sure to turn in your completed handout to your teacher when you are finished this video.